This is wrestling's greatest moments.
Hey now, wrestling fans! It's time for another episode of Wrestling's Greatest Moments. It's 1977. Ric Flair's robe blazes under the arena lights, his mouth firing like a machine gun, and the line of guys wanting to take him down stretches from Charlotte to Raleigh. He's already survived wars with Wahoo McDaniel and the Minnesota Wrecking Crew, but a fresh-faced challenger named Ricky Steamboat is about to walk through the curtain, and nothing in Flair's career will ever be the same. Sit back as Wrestling's Greatest Moments looks at Ric Flair, the Mid-Atlantic years, 1976 to 1978, Part 2. Before we get started though, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss a single video. Ric Flair's career was on fire in 1976, with the Nature Boy forming a championship-caliber team with Greg the Hammer Valentine, known as the Dream Team. Flair was in high demand, working outside his home base of Jim Crockett Promotions in other NWA territories, even stepping into the WWF's mecca of professional wrestling, Madison Square Garden. As 1977 began, Flair was ready for more. Slick Rick was never satisfied, whether it was winning matches, collecting championships, or putting opponents out of action. His team with Greg the Hammer Valentine made him even more dangerous, as wrestlers and fans knew that Valentine was always ready to strike on Flair's behalf, and vice versa. The Dream Team had captured the NWA World Tag Team Championship from fellow heels Gene and Ole Anderson, aka the Minnesota Wrecking Crew, in late 1976. But they had little time to celebrate, as wrestlers were lining up to take a stab at the promotion's top tag team title. Longtime rival Wahoo McDaniel teamed with different partners, including Rufus R. Jones and number 1 Paul Jones, only to fall short in their bid to unseat the champions. Flair and Valentine's ability to enrage wrestlers led to unlikely alliances. Such was the case when the Minnesota Wrecking Crew teamed with babyface Wahoo McDaniel to take on Flair, Valentine, and Flair's longtime partner in crime, Blackjack Mulligan. Fans in the Carolinas didn't seem to care who fought Flair and Valentine, as long as the Dream Team suffered. Flair also continued his war with Wahoo McDaniel, wrestling McDaniel in singles matches, as Flair hoped to regain the Mid-Atlantic Heavyweight Championship Wahoo had wrestled from Flair in late 1976. 1977 saw a small pause to Flair's career when he went under the knife to take care of a gallbladder issue. As Tim Hornbaker writes in his biography of Flair, toward the end of January, he needed gallbladder surgery, which sidelined him for nearly 5 weeks. The Nature Boy's sudden absence fired up the rumor mills, with some fans concluding that Ric's arch-rival Wahoo McDaniel had ended him during a match. The Mid-Atlantic Gateway's Dick Bourne writes of how strong kayfabe was at the time. Such was the case in early 1977, with a particularly nasty rumor following what must have been such a brutal match between Ric Flair and Wahoo McDaniel that it left fans thinking that Wahoo had actually killed Flair. Pete Apostolo, Jim Crockett's promoter on the ground in Roanoke and Lynchburg, and other towns in southwest Virginia, had to call into the local Lynchburg newspaper and ask them to publish a short missive letting fans know that Ric Flair wasn't actually dead. The Nature Boy returned, healthier than ever, as he dove into action, continuing his title chase against Wahoo McDaniel. The former New York Jet launched a fierce counterattack of his own. The Dream Team faced a nightmare in March 1977 when McDaniel brought in Andre the Giant to help him win the tag titles. However, even the power of the 8th wonder of the world wasn't enough to ensnare the slippery champions, with their matches against the Dream Team ending in disqualifications or no contests. Like many promotions, Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling shook things up with different types of competition. Title bouts were always a strong selling point, but fans saw other enticing bouts. As Mid-Atlantic Gateway contributor Brack Beasley writes, in the 1970s, it was not uncommon for wrestling territories, especially in the South, to hold Cadillac tournaments, with the winner's purse being a new Cadillac. On Saturday night, March 26, 1977, the promotion changed it up a bit and instead hosted an elimination tournament, new 1977 Lincoln Continental Mark V. The tournament was a star-studded event featuring the following competitors: Ric Flair, Greg Valentine, Brute Bernard, Jacques Goulet, Jerry Blackwell, Johnny Weaver, Wahoo McDaniel, Bill White, Ron Starr, Danny Miller, Dino Bravo, and Johnny Eagle. Ric Flair won the tournament, defeating Wahoo McDaniel in the finals and angering fans. Of course, that was the point, and JCP booked the two into an Indian strap match so angry fans could watch Wahoo get his revenge. The Nature Boy also seized world title opportunities, a sign of his growing status as a singles competitor. When NWA World Heavyweight Champion Harley Race toured the Mid-Atlantic area in April, Flair battled the champion to a double disqualification. While the NWA World title was still years down the road for Flair, Rick added another belt to his trophy case on April 17, 1977, when he beat Rufus R. Jones for the NWA Mid-Atlantic Television Championship. Meanwhile, Valentine and Flair proved a tough team to topple. Their tag skills had been honed to perfection in 1976, and their ability to bend or break the rules helped them secure the titles against some of the world's best. Nonetheless, the Minnesota Wrecking Crew were more determined than ever to get the belts back, and on May 8, 1977, the Andersons won the title in a steel cage match. However, did they get help from the referee? The Andersons' win was controversial due to Wahoo McDaniel's role as special referee. McDaniel was chosen to maintain order between the two teams, who made life difficult for any official trying to call their matches. Flair and Valentine protested the match's result, claiming that Wahoo had tripped them, helping the Andersons to win. Valentine and Flair would exact payback. Or, more to the point, Greg Valentine would, when the hammer broke McDaniel's leg during a match at a September 7, 1977 TV taping. Interestingly, the Andersons left the area, defending the tag titles in Georgia Championship Wrestling, where Ole Anderson was the booker. There would be crossovers between the two promotions and rematches between the two teams. Flair and Valentine weren't just tangled up in their vendetta with Wahoo McDaniel. They were fighting on all fronts. Flair's breakneck schedule had him defending the TV championship night after night, fending off Tiger Conway Jr., Ole Anderson, the mighty Igor, and even the legendary Bobo Brazil. A legendary rivalry begins. In early 1977, history was about to change when a young wrestler named Ricky Steamboat, aka Richard Blood, entered the promotion. Before he was Ricky Steamboat, Richard Blood learned the ropes under Vern Gagne, making his debut in Gagne's American Wrestling Association in 1976. Soon after, he headed to Championship Wrestling from Florida, where promoter Eddie Graham gave him a new name, deciding that while Blood sounded perfect for a villain, it didn't fit the smile of a babyface. Billed as a relative of popular wrestling hero Sam Steamboat, Rick moved to Georgia Championship Wrestling, only to find himself spinning his wheels. According to the book, The Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame, Heroes and Icons, George Scott, the legendary booker in the Carolinas, first saw Steamboat on TV in Atlanta, where matchmaker Ole Anderson was using him in opening matches. Ole was way off base on this one. He didn't think Steamboat was box office and shipped him off over to us. George Scott couldn't wait to get him, said referee Tommy Young. In his memoir, To Be the Man, Flair recalls things slightly differently. Jimmy Crockett was looking for more talent and contacted the Atlanta territory. Richard Blood was a muscular kid with a strain of Asian ancestry that gave him a handsome, exotic look. Under the name Rick Steamboat, he was billed as a native Hawaiian and the son of veteran Sam Steamboat. We had a 400-pound wrestler named One Man Gang who Atlanta promoter Jim Barnett wanted, so he and Jimmy made a trade. Crockett believed he was getting a talented prospect, but from the moment we met, I knew Steamboat had magic. Whatever the story, Ricky Steamboat's rise in Jim Crockett Promotions was swift. Billed, just as he had been in Florida, as the relative of veteran Sam Steamboat, Ricky wasted no time proving he could stand on his own, stacking up wins over solid mid-card competition and winning the fans' hearts in the process. However, the ever-cocky and overbearing Ric Flair wasn't impressed and made it known on JCP television. Steamboat was being interviewed by JCP announcer Bob Caudle when Flair interrupted Steamboat, essentially telling him to get lost before he got hurt. Fans saw this happen the next week as well, with Steamboat playing the babyface and warning Flair he could beat him at any time. Flair insulted Steamboat, with Ricky taking the high ground. Incredibly, perhaps not so incredibly for anyone familiar with Flair's arrogance, Flair chose to interrupt Steamboat a third week in a row. This time, Steamboat told announcer David Crockett, "Mr. Crockett, I'm sorry for what is about to happen here. This is the third week now, the third straight week. I have been trying to be as gentleman as I can be." Steamboat floored Flair, knocking him out with a thrust to the head. Steamboat apologized before leaving. Of course, nothing was settled, and a furious Flair returned later in the program, accusing Steamboat of using a foreign object when he knocked him out. Steamboat defended his actions, leading to an angry Nature Boy offering Steamboat a shot at him and his NWA Television Championship. Steamboat eagerly accepted, looking forward to a chance at his first championship in the promotion. The two met in a televised match on June 15, 1977, at a TV taping. As wrestling historian David Chappelle writes, in Flair vs. Steamboat, how it all began. Steamboat got off to a great start, but the more experienced champion recovered, eventually sending the challenger through the ropes and onto the unforgiving floor. Somehow, Steamboat answered the referee's 10 count, returning to the ring. Flair was never the same after Steamboat made it off the floor. After several more minutes, a disoriented Flair was wobbling around while Steamboat climbed to the top turnbuckle. Ricky leaped off the top rope with a double chop that disabled Flair, enabling Steamer to capture a 3 count and the Mid-Atlantic Television Championship. This clash sparked one of wrestling's greatest rivalries, with championships trading hands between Flair and Steamboat, eventually including the prestigious NWA World Heavyweight title. But any celebration over Flair being beltless didn't last long. On June 30th, the Dream Team crushed fans' hopes by defeating Dino Bravo and Tiger Conway Jr. for the Mid-Atlantic Tag Team Championship. The Nature Boy also continued collecting singles championships, in between defending the Mid-Atlantic Tag Team Championship and challenging Steamboat for the NWA Television Championship. Flair chased United States Heavyweight Champion Bobo Brazil. On July 29, 1977, Flair captured his first U.S. title after defeating Bobo. Now the U.S. champion, the Nature Boy was also first in line for a shot at the NWA World title whenever the champion came to town. Flair didn't stay put either. He hit the road, sharpening his skills in other promotions. For an aspiring world champion, proving you could draw crowds and adapt to different opponents in every territory was essential. Jim Crockett Promotions was one of wrestling's crown jewels, a territory packed with seasoned veterans and the stars of tomorrow. By 1977, fans knew Ric Flair was destined for greatness, and his battles with Mid-Atlantic's best proved it. But his feud with Ricky Steamboat was just catching fire. On October 21, 1977, Steamboat shocked the fans by upsetting Flair for the U.S. title, a statement win if ever there was one. Just 2 months earlier in August, Steamboat had teamed with number 1 Paul Jones to take the Mid-Atlantic Tag Team Championship from the Dream Team. Now there was no doubt, Ricky Steamboat had Ric Flair's number. The Dream Team's relentless chase for the NWA World Tag Team Championship finally hit pay dirt on October 30th, 1977, when they toppled the Andersons to reclaim the gold. The victory was decisive, and Gene Anderson was left battered and broken in their wake, as noted at the Mid-Atlantic Gateway. Behind the scenes, Gene Anderson was in need of neck surgery, and the injury angle was shot to explain his long absence during his recovery. In 1977, Ric Flair didn't just make an impression, he became the man fans love to hate, sparking rivalries that would define his career and packing arenas with people eager to see him get his comeuppance. And 1978 promised even more fireworks. Flair's war with Ricky Steamboat would intensify, with the Nature Boy stooping to new lows in his quest to drive Steamboat out of wrestling. The year would also ignite one of the most talked about angles in Mid-Atlantic history, the hat and the robe. What do you think of Ric Flair's early years in Jim Crockett Promotions? Did you get to see any of Flair's career from this era? Share your thoughts in the comment section, and let us know if there are any videos you'd like Wrestling's Greatest Moments to cover. In the meantime, subscribe to our channel, follow us on X and Instagram, and spread the good news about wrestling's greatest moments, the channel that celebrates the squared circle.